everybody, welcome to another episode of Friends Talking Nerdy. This is Tim Jasmine.
And I am Kim.
Another week is upon us. This is 2 straight months of Friends Talking Nerdy since we got back in the scheme of things again. So
time flies when you're having fun.
I know, right? And with that, I thought, since we're about, recording-wise now, we're, 5 days away from Thanksgiving?
Something like that, yeah.
I thought we'll take a chance to give thanks for something. What do you got to be thankful for this year?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm thankful that I made it through another year. I mean, it's been a difficult year.
It's not over yet.
Yeah, it's been kind of a difficult year. I've had some challenges at work and at home, and...
What? No.
So, I'm thankful that I've got through it, and I'm doing okay, and yeah. And the world hasn't ended in a fiery cataclysm yet. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, I mean, this past year has definitely been unique for me as well, to put it lightly. But the last couple months have definitely... the building blocks for positive change for me have definitely been in place. Being able to... make amends for stuff that was really weighing on me. That weight is definitely off my shoulders now, and I'm thankful for that. Seeing my kids, my oldest is on his way to college. My freaking God.
Crazy.
Yeah, my youngest, you can follow him on Twitter at Memer and he would love that. He's quite the interesting cat. Always has been. He's quite funny. My daughter, haven't talked to her in a while, but she's my daughter. I love her, of course. Definitely thankful for her. Last but not least, I'm definitely thankful that we're partners.
I'm thankful for that too.
You've meant a lot to me. So I'm glad that we can, not only share life, that we can share the show now.
Yeah, it's been a challenge sharing my space. I have lived alone for a long time, but it's been really nice to have somebody to come home to.
There you go.
I mean, that sounds really cliched, but it's true.
Yeah.
I feel a lot less kind of lonely and everything, and it's been a challenging change, but a good change.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Phil.
Thankful for Phil. Phil's the cat.
Yeah, got him in April. Went to the Humane Society, and he's 12. I'm going to be 13 in April. Haha, imagine that. Probably sooner, but I will count his birthday as when I got him.
It's hard to nail down a cat's age when they come to the shelter. They usually base it on their teeth and their size and everything. I mean, my cat is going to be probably 11 next year. Yeah. Because she uses from the shelter too. Mm-hmm. And everything, so...
Yeah, and, the reason I, got him, one, he was, just in a room with other cats, and, when I first got him, I was in a different place with a different cat, and I thought it was important to get a cat that was a little more sociable, but I wanted to get an older guy. I mean, if you're going to adopt an older one, adopt an ugly one, just... Phil's gorgeous as a cat, but there are some animals that will be there and will ultimately be put down depending on the type of shelter it is, just because they're not ones that could be in a movie, on a magazine cover, or, look good in a Christmas film.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that if you adopt an older cat, that they're going to die soon and you're not going to get many years with them, and that's just not true, because I adopted a cat who was estimated age of 11 when he was adopted. I had him until he turned 21.
And I would counter with this, take Phil. Let's say 2 years from now he does pass on. I hope that's not the case, but let's say it happens. I still hope to give him 2 years of one hell of a great life. I don't want to see him go back into shelter. I don't want to see him run away, and he wouldn't survive outside.
He's not going to run away. There's no way.
You know what I mean. Yeah, he follows me around like crazy.
Yeah, he is absolutely devoted to Tim. It's very cute. It's like he likes me too, but it's only mostly when Tim's not here. Because if Tim's here, he's like Tim's number one buddy. He follows Tim around. He always wants to be in the same room as Tim. Well, he follows Tim around mostly because he's very food motivated.
Yeah.
And that's the case with most stray animals. They become extremely food motivated. Imagine that when you don't know when your next source of food is coming from.
Well, and also too, I got to take him to the vet again because he probably does have a thyroid issue as well. Older cats do tend to have that, and you know, it's, do I want to put a bunch of money into food or, you know, medicine to where he's not eating as much?
Yeah, well, he was thin to begin with.
Yeah.
From his days as a stray, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's something we'll get all sorted out. But he's a great cat.
He's
very, very cute, very sweet, very snuggly.
And very photogenic.
He is very photogenic.
Just like his old man. Haha. All right. She's like, what does that even mean? Did you meet his daddy in Mississippi?
Yeah.
All right. Well, on to the show this week.
Yes.
Yeah. So I dived deeper into Disney Plus and rewatched a movie I hadn't seen since February, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since we saw it in the theater.
Yeah. Really good movie. Quick review on it first. On its surface, it's just the story, just the movie itself. It's very simple, but very good at what it does. It's not a movie that was looking to change, you know, anything. It wasn't trying to offer a different type of superhero movie. It was just a basic... It was formulaic, but formulaic is not always bad.
Well, you just said that it wasn't... They weren't trying to, like, create a different type of superhero. But I kind of... beg to differ.
But that's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
Because it's with Captain Marvel, it's kind of like what Rod Serling did with the Twilight Zone. Now, for critics out there, I'm not saying Captain Marvel stands with, you know, some of the stuff that the Twilight Zone did, but what I'm trying to say is that with Rod Serling and the other writers on that show tried to do is that they tried to write stories that for people that don't want to look for a meaning, they could sit back and enjoy it and have an interesting half hour. For people that do want to look for that meaning, there's more meat on the bone there for them. It's kind of a dual layer thing, and it's really tough to accomplish that. But I think this movie did it well when it comes to talking about the life of women. You know, you get my point that way?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so when I watched it, you know, first of all, I love on the Disney Plus app, some of their movies come with director's commentary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, and they have a lot of the old, they have a lot of deleted scenes as well. Even with the original Star Wars movies, they have the old, like, Empire Strikes Back deleted scenes.
Oh.
Like when there's a deleted scene, I wish they would have kept it. I guess they on Hoth, they kept some of the wampas, the ice creatures, trapped in a like a cave, in like a prison inside the base. But then once the Empire started raiding Hoth base, 3PO opens up one of them and
lets them out to create more chaos.
Yep. But anyway, I was watching Captain Marvel, and what interested me was two characters. It was the male characters. It was Jude Law's character, Jan Rog, and it was Nick Fury.
Who's Samuel L. Jackson, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying. But I saw those characters, and as I was watching the movie, I was trying to think of it from not a white male perspective. I was trying to think of it, you know, how would a woman react to this? You know, and I've noticed a couple different things, and, you know, when I tell you this, you're probably going to be like, yeah, and the sky is blue. But...
you know me too well.
Yeah, but the point is to be able to acknowledge this, to talk about it, because the more people in my position, the white male position, take the time to think about this stuff and talk about it, the more potentially somewhere down the road we could potentially work on making society better overall.
Making better movies.
Or better movies, period. Or, you know, in my case, since I'm a writer, better stories. You know, if I'm able to think outside of my own, you know, box in terms of thinking of other characters that have experienced stuff that I will never experience, then that'll, you know, make me better able to create those characters. And when it comes to interpersonal relationships in real life, then I'm able to be a lot more empathetic.
And this is one of the reasons why I'm thankful for you, is because you do think about things like this.
I try, you know.
Well, you're better at it than most men that I know, so
Yeah.
you should feel good about that.
Now with Jan Rog, it was interesting how they portrayed him in the film. For most of the film, he was presented as a good guy.
Yeah, and then they twisted it, and it was like, what? Oh, spoilers.
Well, yeah, again...
I know the movie's been out for a year, but still, I'm just like, wait a second.
Yeah, but, you know, like we said many times on this show, if we're going to talk about something, we're going to talk about it all. So, you know, there will always potentially be spoilers here. I mean,
yeah.
we won't be dicks about it, but, you know, I mean, like...
Plus, the movie's been out for, like, over almost a year now. So.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think back to, like, our other reviews for, like, Endgame and whatnot, we did the non-spoilery, and then we had the, you know, definitive...
Yeah, but it was a kind of a shock to me when it was revealed that the Jude Law's character was actually not a good guy after all.
But think about his performance. Upon watching it again, it was great because the Jude Law character, that Jan Rog, there were seeds planted from the very beginning that it was not all that he was not all on the up and up. And what I noticed was his manipulation, his little words, little actions, little gestures that kept Carol in her place, essentially.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to watch this again then. Because I just remember me seeing a couple things going, and then it got revealed that he was actually not a...
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend watching it again in your case, because, and I think if you do see it again, you'll see my point of that the seeds were planted from the very beginning to, you know, show the audience that he was not who they initially want you to think he was. But the whole idea of how he subtly manipulated her throughout, you know, and the other Kree as well, of course, you know, like the higher intelligence being. But I thought about it, and it was just like, of course, you may have some critics that, you know, hear me say this, you know, some white guys, and be like, well, I've had people treat me like that before, too. Of course, everybody's had a taste of something like that before, but imagine being a woman and having a lot more people do that to you on a lot more consistent basis.
A taste of gaslighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, gaslighting is not cool. And that's what the term is for that, when basically someone's trying to make you think something is true when it's really not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think most women have had that happen to them at least once in their lives. And it's sad, and it's sad that other humans feel the need to do that to each other.
It is, and I mean, it's shows to me overall, not just in the context of this film, but overall. I mean, because I've, you know, I have other female friends of mine, you know, mentioned that before. I've seen it happen before, and it's like, I'm just thinking, like, how it shows to me the weakness of men overall, that they have to use that manipulation, that they have to, you know, use whatever while they can to, you know, maintain their power. It's a patriarchal thing, you know, guys. You know, guys just don't want to lose that power, when the thought should be, you know, let's get input from all sides. Let's build everybody up instead of, you know, maintaining what we got, because maintaining what we have is, you know, led to a lot of interesting stuff that's not good.
Very true. And yeah, a lot of times superhero movies, they're trying to give us ideas of a better world. So it was good that they were showing that even in other other alien societies, superhero societies, they still have the same weaknesses as we do. We can't just assume that, like, oh, the alien race is superior because they're this much smarter or whatever. But no, just because they have better technology or better something doesn't mean they're better.
Yeah. Also, near the end of the movie, when you know, essentially the final scene before she finally defeats him and sends him on a ship back to the Kree world, I did like how he tried his best to continue with the manipulation. Like, good girl, you learned your lesson. Like his manipulations were a lesson to her or something like that, which made me think. I mean, that has to happen to women on a regular basis as well. If a guy gets caught, he's going to do his best to try to continue that manipulation.
Yeah, the one thing though is once you get to a certain age, and you can recognize that,
then
you're just kind of like, yeah.
You just don't have the power to have lightning bolts come out of your hands to slam the person back into a canyon wall.
I would like that though sometimes, but yeah, it's hard when you're a younger woman and you're still learning how to, how to figure out how to sort of stand up for yourself. Because a lot of times, there's a lot of cultural norms that tell women to be submissive and silent and quiet and all of that sort of thing. I mean, but a lot of it has to do with how you're raised. And I know my mama didn't raise me that way. She always raised me to think for myself and not be afraid to show that you might be smarter than the men in the room. And that comes from her own background of having to make her way in a male-dominated field, computers, at a time when the computers were just becoming widespread. She went to computer college in the 70s and learned how to be a programmer and was better at it than most men, yet she still got paid less.
And that happens today.
And that happens today, yeah. And then she turned that into a successful career where she was, basically telling men how to use the computer systems to run their businesses. And
when I worked at Apple, I saw it all the time. I won't name names for people that still work there, but I had situations where female technicians, far smarter than me, would tell a customer the symptoms of their device, and the customer would just be like, "Don't want to hear it. I want to hear it from a man."
Yep.
And then I would get dragged into that. I mean, I would try my best to, have that, female coworker of mine there with me and say, "What did you find? Oh, okay, this is what the problem is," and just try to reinforce that I am going to back up my female coworker because they're just as smart, if not smarter than I am. A lot of times they have to be smarter just to be able to make that point.
And that's the thing too is with women in a lot of fields, you basically have to be better than anybody else in the room, or else they won't take you seriously. And that's a shitty thing. It's a shitty thing to be experienced, and it's not fair. It's not good. It's not happening as much now, but it still happens. And the thing is, though, is that I think as a culture, it's gradually falling away because the men who think that way are getting older and dying. And I think it's really definitely started with the younger generation now, because I remember talking to my nephew who is now 11, maybe 2 years ago about playing video games and how playing video games with men, sometimes they get intimidated by my skills at video games. And he says, "Well, I don't get that. That doesn't make sense. Why should your skills be better just because of your gender?" And he said this. He literally used the word gender. And I was just like, what? I was like, well, you're right.
Did you want a cookie? No.
Yeah. I'm like, well, you are right. And I was very happy to hear that coming from an 11-year-old boy. So there's hope that it's going to phase itself out.
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, we will never, ever, the world is imperfect. We're never going to get into a spot to where misogyny will go away, racism will go away, and all that stuff.
It would be so nice if it would, though.
It would, but, you got to be realistic. What we can strive for is just making people open their eyes at this stuff, because I think a lot of the times, and I've been very much guilty of this myself in the past, is that you see situations as how I would have gone through it. You don't put yourself into somebody else's shoes. And it's easy for me as a white guy to say, well, that's never happened to me, so I don't think it happens to anybody. Bull. You
Yeah,
know?
that's the key is to think, oh, because this never happened to me, it never happens. You can't think that way
No.
because your experience is going to be different than the experience of that person and that person, that person. Even if you're both white or you're both male, everybody's experience is going to be different, and you just have to remember that and be respectful of that.
You have to
Be open.
You have to be open, and most of all, you have to be respectful.
Yeah.
It's when you gotta, to me, women are equals. It's not. I've never, even when I pretended to be a Christian, I bristled at the whole, men are the head of the family type deal. When you're with somebody like in a marriage or a boyfriend girlfriend, it is a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not. Maybe it's just because of growing up in a single parent household and seeing my mother have to work her ass off to keep food on the table and whatnot. But I've always seen strong women just kind of do what they can to fight. They fight, they keep that smile on their face, but they're still fighting. They have to fight co-workers, they have to fight everybody to maintain what they have, but they keep on fighting. And to me, that is admirable. But for me, I want to do what I can to honor that fight by treating them with the respect they deserve. And when it comes to stuff like my kids, try to pass on that knowledge as well. I don't, if I found out one of my sons, were treating women in a derogatory way or something like that, I'd be pissed.
Well, I'm glad that you feel that way, and I knew that you felt that way.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why we're together, and it's been a while now.
Yeah.
So
Almost 2 years. Yeah.
almost 2 years. Yeah.
Yep. And the other character, of course, I wanted to talk about was Nick Fury, and it's just one scene, but I really, really loved this scene. It was where the Skrulls helped repurpose a ship to fly into space to the secret headquarters that Marvel had set up with the other Skrull families to stop the war between the Kree and the Skrulls. And Maria Rambeau was riding the plane. And Nick Fury made a comment about her flying being nifty. And she came back with, ultimately with the line of, "Don't call my flying nifty again." And he didn't verbally respond, but his body language was just like, I'm sorry type of deal. And Samuel L. Jackson is a master at conveying words without speaking.
Yeah, he can like twitch his eyebrow slightly, and you're just like, oh,
yeah,
that sort of thing.
He did that, and then Maria, visibly, accepted that with a smile on her face. But I dug that because it showed that Nick Fury, put his foot in his mouth. One, people put their foot in their mouths, and he graciously essentially apologized for that silly comment, because I think he, once it was pointed out to him, he realized, yeah, that was insulting, that was belittling.
Yeah.
And to me that showed too that the important message with that moment for men, if they want to hear, and they should, is that you will put your foot in your mouth, you will say stupid things, but just apologize.
Yep.
If you truly respect women, you will apologize.
And if we point it out to you, you'll say, "I'm sorry, I'll do better." And you just go on. You don't just start spouting, "But not all men."
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't represent all men.
I know
represent
you don't.
me. I represent me. That's all that's all I can do.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I thought there's a lot of meat on the bone for Captain Marvel. Again, for folks that just want a good superhero action adventure movie, it's great.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's a great movie, but when it first came out, I called it political without being political, and it's political in a sense that it is giving you an eye, as a male, it's giving you an eye into the female world about the challenges they have to face from people essentially keeping them down. And it shows how much women have to fight to essentially, you know, in a male eyes, get on an equal level. They shouldn't have to do that fight, but they do. And it's up to men to start respecting that.
Oh, if only it was that easy. But yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm not naive to think that me talking about this on this podcast is going to bring a wave of
A wave of change.
Yeah, but again,
It's still it's an important conversation to have. We should, you know, just continue to have these conversations, because the more we talk about it, the more people will change their minds.
Exactly.
Yep. Alrighty, so we kind of mentioned at the top of the show how we were thankful for things. So with Thanksgiving comes Christmas. It follows closely behind, especially closely this year, because Thanksgiving is like the last week of November. There isn't that kind of extra week buffer. So this time of year is the time of year when everybody starts going, oh gosh, I should probably give something to charity. And everybody starts throwing food drives and clothing drives and all kinds of things like that. So I saw a webcomic this week on The Lily, which is a Washington Post feminist website. And it was written by a person named Sage Coffee. And it was about her experience as a child with receiving food bank boxes or gifts like that around the holidays, and basically like giving pointers for things that you should and shouldn't donate. And so I thought it might be a good thing to mention, because a lot of people think of food drives as a great time to clean out the cabinets.
Yeah.
And then they end up donating a whole bunch of fruit cocktail and expired food, and that's no good for anybody. So it's just as a reminder, this time of year, a lot of companies will like put a barrel for the food bank in the lobby.
Yeah, like Walmart for their workers.
Yeah. We don't do that. We do things like that at my job, but
Yeah.
just keep in mind when you see that barrel, don't just bring all your expired soup or something like that. And so I went to the website for the Clark County Food Bank, and they had a list of good things to donate.
Okay.
And so don't donate expired stuff. Make sure that it's all fresh and good. So some of the best shelf-stable foods to donate are peanut butter. It's an obvious choice. You can do a lot with peanut butter. Cooking oil. I hadn't thought of that. Cooking oil. Because like if you get like if you want to saute some vegetables or something, what are you going to use? You need either butter or cooking oil. Canned or dried beans, canned fruit and vegetables, not just fruit cocktail, regular vegetables like beans, peas, corn, things like that. If you want to donate canned fruit, maybe things like peaches, pears, stuff like that. Shelf-stable milk, canned meat, tuna, chicken, things like that. Macaroni, soup or broth, tomato products, and here's something I hadn't thought about: spices and sauces. And I'm just like, you're right, you could make like a lot of different things if you just have the right spices or a sauce for it. And those things can make all the difference in taking a bunch of random foods from a food box and turning it into something tasty. So yeah, if you're going to donate to a food drive this winter, maybe don't just clean out your cupboards, put some good things in there too.
You got to think of this too. One thing that the news and, people in power, rich people that, support fucking Republicans and whatnot want to give you the image of is that poor people are all leeches, poor people deserve to be in their spot, when the fact of the matter is, I read recently, I think 1 in 4 people have been poor. There have been a lot of people that have been poor. There are a lot of people that, have to go get, public assistance, get an EBT card, that, are still working full-time jobs, but because of this economy being stacked against the average person the way it is, they don't have enough, enough to make ends meet.
Well, keep also this too. The federal minimum wage is $7.25.
It's a joke.
It hasn't been raised in 10 years.
Yeah.
$7.25. That's not even enough to get like one meal at a fast food restaurant.
I mean, $15 an hour is not enough to is not really enough to survive if you're a family. I mean,
yeah, or if you live in an urban area too, it's
yeah.
I mean, you basically will be living in the burbs or somewhere.
Yeah, so
really cheap.
Basically, you know, when it comes to food drives, you got to keep the mindset of what would I want to receive if I were on the other end.
If I was getting a food box, what would I want? And I can think I'd want dried pasta or rice. I'd probably want some spaghetti sauce if possible. Mm-hmm. Probably peanut butter, just because you can put peanut butter on just about anything and it'll fill you up. And then if I could get like if I could get fresh food too, if I got like some apples and some peanut butter, I'd be friggin' set for a while.
Yeah, it's again the same thing with the conversation about Captain Marvel and you know, the patriarchal society we live in. This is not something that's going to go away like that. But we, you know, this, you know, the fact that we have to talk about this is a sign that, you know, this economy is messed up.
Yeah, I thought the comic was really just the way it was drawn too, and it was just really striking how the artist had shown like the kid's face, like oh boy, we got food, and then oh sad, we got like
yams. Who the fuck's gonna eat yams?
Yeah, we got like you know 3 cans of cranberry sauce, and like one was expired.
Yeah.
Or like literally, she mentioned in the comic too that once they got a 3-year-old can of alphabet soup. It had been expired for 3 years.
Yeah.
So food drives are great. If you want to contribute, that's awesome. Just make sure you take the time to check the food, make sure it's not expired, make sure the cans aren't rusty, don't have a bunch of dents in them, because that can make the food go bad.
And make sure you're this food is going to organizations that are, you know, helping everybody. So not the Salvation Army. You want to make sure that, you know, they're helping not only the, you know, the poster child of Republicans everywhere, the man and a woman marriage with the 3 kids, mm-hmm. but if a trans person is, you know, in need of food, make sure they have the food as well. If you know, just help your fellow person out.
Yep.
Treat them the way you want to be treated. You know, and I'm not saying buy like caviar and get
that's
that.
Ridiculous.
We're
No, nobody
essentials.
wants caviar. They'd much rather have tuna.
You get my point, though.
I know.
It just stereotypical, overexpensive food.
Or like, you know, say like now you're going to be going shopping for Thanksgiving dinner pretty soon. You know, if you know that your company does a food drive at some point, maybe pick up a few cans of soup as well at the same time, or some chicken broth, or some cans of tuna, and just throw them in the trunk of the car and wait until the bucket goes up or the barrel goes up at work and take them in.
Yeah, because, you know, cans of soup, tuna, not expensive at all.
No. I mean, you can buy like the store brand or wait for a sale. Or if you go to Costco, like toss an extra 12-pack of canned chili in your cart.
Yeah, I mean, like, really, if you just took $20, went to the grocery store, and you can get a lot of food for $20 that can help some people out.
Yeah, you can get like a few bags of rice. You could get some dry pasta. You could get dried beans. Beans are really good.
Yeah, and stuff like that too, because you know you got to think a lot of these people have, you know, kids and whatnot. So stuff like beans, rice, the noodles will, you know, spread over a long period.
Yeah,
you
can make like a lot at once and spread it over a couple of days. And...
Yeah, you're not giving like one meal and that's it, but just help your fellow person out.
Yep. I just found that comic really. I don't know, there's something about the way it's drawn. It was just like, wow, this is really profound, and I felt like it needed to be talked about.
Did you post it on your Twitter?
I did not, but I will after we finish recording this, so I guess by the time you listen to this, it will be on my Twitter.
What's your Twitter handle?
@KimTheGeek.
All right, and mine is @FTNerdy.
Alrighty, so what did you want to talk about next?
I know. Well, another one of my favorite topics: professional wrestling.
Oh boy.
And this time, I want to talk about, women's professional wrestling. Back, when I was a kid, that was the waning days of the fabulous Moolah in her era.
Okay.
A unique character, but she had essentially a stranglehold on women's wrestling in this country. If you were not trained by Moolah, you would not work as a wrestler in the United States.
Okay.
Gradually, once Vince McMahon did his, worldwide expansion of the WWE, he brought her on board, but was able to, bring in other people at that point, opening up the doors for women wrestlers. In the late 80s, early 90s, there was a wrestler by the name, her professional name in other promotions was Medusa. In the WWE, they called her Alundra Blaze. She was a really good performer. She did a lot of great work in Japan that still stands up today in terms of athleticism. Mm-hmm. But in the 90s, people weren't ready for a woman to wrestle. And also too because of the fact that because with Moolah before, she wasn't an athlete. I mean, she could take what they call a bump, and she was tough. I'm not saying she wasn't tough or anything like that, but she trained her women to do essentially like cat fights type of deal, hair pulling, and it just was not good at all. And if you go to a wrestling match, it's scripted and whatnot, but you want the illusion that you're seeing two athletes in the ring.
Yeah.
And during the Moolah era, you weren't getting that. You had a taste with Medusa, but there wasn't enough talent in the United States to sustain that. In the late 90s, during what they call the Attitude Era, you did have some performers come up like Lita, Trish Stratus, Mickie James, great performers. But again, the WWE during that time was when it came to their female performers, was more focused on tits and ass. They wanted pretty women, because that was at the time that
sold tickets.
It sold tickets and also copies of Playboy. And what I found out thanks to a podcast is that during that time, Vince McMahon attempted to buy Playboy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think I remember reading something about that at some point.
Yeah. Goddamn, pal, that needs bigger boobs. Come on.
Well, wasn't he kind of going through a phase at some point in the 90s, trying to buy just about anything?
He bought the Debbie Reynolds hotel in Las Vegas and wanted to make it a WWE hotel.
Yeah.
And do that. He was interested in buying the Minnesota Vikings, which fell through, but that led to him creating the XFL, which is coming back next year. Things like that, and with his financial resources, like anybody, he's gonna try to purchase a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the 2000s, you had more performers come along. Performers like Gail Kim, one of my favorite wrestlers, who's now in AEW, Awesome Kong. She played Welfare Queen on Glow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but Awesome Kong just scary woman. I love her in the ring. But we are now at this is essentially the golden age of women's wrestling, because we now have women that are viewed as legitimate athletes. I mean, I think the one person that we have to thank for that, it started in UFC, but she transitioned to the WWE, is Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Once Ronda Rousey showed that, essentially blew away the myth that that women shouldn't perform in those types of sports. It opened the doors for other talented female performers to be able to get in the ring and be treated like serious athletes. This is leading me to a little bit of nonsense that's in the news today. It's all about now. I don't know if she was essentially stripped of the title, but she was associated with a group called Ring of Honor. She was their champion, but they recently fired her.
Yee.
Yeah, situation is this. about a month or two ago, Ring of Honor fired another producer backstage. His stage name when he was a performer was Joey Mercury. He had, spent plenty of time in the WWE as both a performer in the ring and also a producer backstage. And he tried to be a producer backstage with Ring of Honor. But when he was fired, he brought out some company emails that he posted on Twitter, showcasing a couple of things. One, Ring of Honor does not have concussion protocols for their wrestlers. Ew. They don't have medical staff on hand unless they are in a state where they have where it's required to. Things like that. And most importantly, the female performers are all getting paid the same. And I told you what they were getting paid earlier.
Yeah.
They're getting paid. It was updated from what I told you. $20,000 a year.
That's less than what I make.
That's less than what I make. And we're talking about women that are working for a company that's owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, the second biggest broadcasting company in the United States. Women that are being put on posters to advertise these things, they're getting paid less than the average convenience store worker or fast food worker.
So, who's representing these women? Do they not have agents?
Ring of Honor is not at the level of WWE, so some of them may have agents. And I know with Kelly, her husband is BJ Widmer, who used to work with Ring of Honor, now works with AEW. And so there's probably they probably share an agent or something like that, but not I know the WWE performers they will have agents and whatnot, but if you're with a smaller organization, not so much.
I mean, that's really, really shitty that they're paying them so little. But at the same time, why are they not demanding more money? Why are they accepting it?
Well, wrestling is weird because they don't.
That.
Well, they don't. The promoters have created a situation, essentially from day one in the business till today, that they've created situations to where they scare the performers into not forming a union. Ring of Honor, same as WWE, they're performers in the ring that do all that physical stuff, that put their bodies in physical danger each and every night, are independent contractors.
Oh, it's that bullshit.
Yeah. And it's wrestling overall needs a union. It needed a union many years ago. Jesse Ventura tried to create a union for the WWF back before WrestleMania 2. About a week before, he got all of the wrestlers together and was like, now is the time. We're 1 week away from WrestleMania 2. If we say we want a union or we're not performing, we have the upper hand. But guess who stooged him?
Hulk Hogan?
Hulk Hogan. Because Hulk Hogan was making the most money, and if there was a union, then everybody else would be getting paid more fairly, and he wouldn't be making as much money. So Hulk Hogan ended up nixing the first time there was a potential union coming up with the WWF, and Jesse ended up doing Predator not long after, and ended up telling Vince, the other performers, hey, I got a SAG card now. I'm a member of a union. The rest of you guys can kiss my ass, But with Kelly, this is a unique situation here because, one, the company has admitted that they pay all their female performers the same, which is shows how much they value their female performers. When we are living in the world now where in the WWE, for example, at WrestleMania, you have women closing the show, the main event, with Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch in the main event. There is a thirst in this country for people wanting to see women athletes in the ring. And yet they're treating, Ring of Honor's treating their talent like second-class citizens. And the reason they ended up firing Kelly Klein is because how dare she bring this information to the public?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. I hope they end up because of the whole same pay type of deal. I hope she's able to get a lawyer or something like that. But wrestlers really need to consider forming a union of some kind because I just she's talked about because they fired her by the way via email, and she has also been on the shelf because back in October she had a match and fell on her head, and she's been dealing with concussion. Imagine being fired for an injury that you received while at work.
While at work, yeah. Well, the thing is, though, I mean, the NFL is well known for having lots of concussion issues, but they have a union.
They do.
Is the union really going to help with that?
It will, because it will make sure that it will make sure that the workers are properly paid, for one, but two, have the proper medical that they need for to be able to do what they do on a regular basis, and that includes having medical staff at each and every show. That also includes medical care after the fact, because she talked about what Ring of Honor will do is that they will reimburse you if you have to go to the doctor. How many people, like if you have a severe concussion, how many people are going to be able to go to the doctor and pay for that out of pocket?
Yeah,
it's great. It's great that they reimburse, but if you're making $24,000 a year, you're not going to have that type of money to be able to get a CAT scan, to be able to have everything else that needs to be done to treat a concussion.
Yeah, I mean, that's just.
It's a sad situation. Kelly Klein, for what she did for Ring of Honor, she was one of my favorites there. But this really, hearing this and hearing a lot of the other stuff that has come to light that is happening at Ring of Honor, I'm not going to watch Ring of Honor anymore because of this, just because of how they're treating their performers. Now the performers themselves are able to earn money in other ways, through because Ring of Honor is not on the scale of a WWE.
Yeah.
They allow their performers to work other independent shots. They can, there's a company called Pro Wrestling Tees that works with wrestlers individually, that, a wrestler can create their own t-shirt designs, and then, the wrestler has more control over how much money they get.
There's a company that does that with drag queens too.
There's money in it. I mean, if there's money in it, but that gives more freedom to the performers themselves. They're not. It's not a WWE situation where the WWE is saying, "Here's the design for your new shirt," and and that's that. So there are ways for these performers to, still make money. And Kelly made sure to, say on her Twitter that if you are a fan of a performer in Ring of Honor, there are ways to still support them without giving your money to Ring of Honor. But just Ring of Honor, again, owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. They have the money to make sure that this does not happen. But one, they don't feel women are on the same level as men, when the business has shown over the past 10 years that there is an audience for people watching female wrestlers, and WWE beat them to the punch. With the main event at WrestleMania, that's a big deal there. But two, just how they treat an injured person. If you are a business owner and you are doing what you can to not pay somebody to pay for the medical stuff that they earn while on the job, you can't support that.
Yeah, well, what it should be is like when you get in a car accident. If you get in a car accident, you go to the doctor's office. They'll take the insurance info for your car insurance and they'll bill them directly. Mm-hmm. That's what it should have been. Sinclair should have been like, hey, just tell them to bill us directly.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly got the money, but, we're, of course, talking about Sinclair Broadcasting, which has notorious relations with Donald Trump.
They're the ones who were pushing out to all of their local stations a whole bunch of, basically, Trump propaganda that they were making all of their news anchors read on air.
Yeah, so don't watch Ring of Honor anymore. support the performers in Ring of Honor. You can still support them financially in other ways that don't involve giving Ring of Honor money, but Kelly Klein was screwed. Now, she's going to bounce back. I mean, again, her husband works with AEW, and once she recovers from her concussion, she's going to find work. She is that talented. She is definitely someone to watch. Again, the best performers I like a Becky Lynch and whatnot, are great athletes in the ring. I want to see that, and she's great at that. But the fact that a company is going to fire somebody for calling a company out on their nonsense, don't support that company anymore. Ring of Honor at this point needs to go away unless they make some major institutional changes.
Well, hopefully they will.
Hopefully.
So I'd like to go ahead and just skip my second topic today. I'm not in the mood anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, decided I don't want to talk about it. So I want to get right into our music of the week, recording of the week, because I like this, and I'd much rather talk about this. And it's our show, so we get to talk about what we want.
Damn right, baby.
Yep. All right, so my choice for this week was The Smiths, The Queen is Dead. And a little background about Smiths, 1982, formed in Manchester, England. This is their third album, published in 1986. It was the first album that I purchased by the Smiths. I bought it on one of my downtown Portland buying jaunts on cassette when I was in high school, and I just loved it. I just fell in love with it. It's got that. I just seem to have a thing. I have an affinity for British music, apparently. And
certain type of British music. Similar type of vocals with the different bands, yeah.
Similar vocals, similar lyrics. Just I like music that sort of touches that part of you, not in a bad way, but in a good way. No bad touches here.
It didn't touch your no spot.
Only good touches. But yeah, the Smiths, famously headed by Morrissey, who is pretty well known for his solo work over the years. The Smiths broke up, I think, in 88. I could look it up and be accurate, but I don't want to be accurate right now.
Yeah, because I know in like 91, 92, Morrissey had an album debut, and he had the debut party in Grand Rapids, Michigan, of all places, my hometown. And it was on MTV and everything. And, they had, I don't know if it was like Kurt Loder interviewing him directly, but Morrissey in Grand Rapids, Michigan is just unique.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, Morrissey, he's pretty well known for a lot of controversial views. He's an ardent vegan. He's recently had some affiliation with a rather radical group in England that's kind of anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim.
Is he going the Johnny Rotten route?
I don't know. I don't know if he's... I think it's mostly because this group is also very pro-animal rights. And that's the reason why he's been supporting them. Yeah. I don't know exactly what he's thinking. He's got his convictions, and animal rights is his big issue. And so he tends to go to extremes with it. And while I don't necessarily agree with him, because I eat meat, I like his music, and I always have.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to animal rights and whatnot, I think people that do eat meat can still support animal rights groups, because I know like Dee Severe, who we've had on the show before, just constantly is linking on her Twitter page to various organizations, and they show videos on what farms will do to like pigs, for instance, and whatnot. It's just ungodly stuff when you can, and I realize you're going to kill the pig regardless if you want to have bacon, but you can do that while still making sure that while that pig is alive, having a nice, healthy, happy life, and then when it is killed, just make sure it's done right away and not tortured.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I don't think any right-minded person would support animal torture.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. I'm not a big fan of factory farming. When I can, I try to buy, humanely treated animals. And I have noticed as of lately, I've been eating less meat, which is, it just is what it is. I just haven't been in the mood for it.
Okay.
But yeah. So the Smiths, The Queen is Dead. That's what we're gonna talk about.
All right.
You ready to dive right in?
Let's do it.
What overall were you feeling pretty good about it or not liking it?
Well, I told you you'd be surprised by my response. It's unique. This is the first time I've ever really experienced this, to where the singing, not a fan of it.
Yeah.
But the music, I really dug the music.
Yeah, the Smiths were very, very talented, and their sound is different than Morrissey on his own.
Yeah.
Morrissey on his own, he can be very
Oh.
yeah, he can be very morose. But the Smiths as a band were much more. They had that sound of the time. They were much more upbeat.
Well, they were ahead of their times in a lot of ways, and we'll go into it the more we dive into the songs here. But, I could tell that they were a major influence on a lot of 90s pop bands.
Yeah.
Like I think of like Sixpence None the Richer. Mm-hmm. They owe a lot to the Smiths.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Smiths and The Cure both influenced a lot of 90s bands. Mm-hmm. So the first track on The Queen is Dead is The Queen is Dead.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. And this song definitely talks, you can tell it's about his dislike of the monarchy to some extent. And then there's this one line that he sings towards the end. Life is very long when you're lonely. And I just identified with that.
Me, I love the drum beats that open the song. I love that.
Yeah, it starts out with a kind of folk song.
Yeah. But the problem, Morrissey's does not have the range that I like in a singer. Kind of type of. It doesn't go too far. But it sounded like he was singing a page from a novel.
Yeah.
And the singing didn't do anything for me. I thought this particular song was, it was about the halfway mark. I thought the song was over, and I thought we got, more than, only half of the song is done at this point. I thought the song went on for way too long. The music was fine. This wasn't my favorite track off the album. The music was fine, but again, they could have edited it. If they edited the lyrics, and I think the last part of the song too is more of an instrument, focus on instrumental. If they cut some of that, it probably could have been a little more palatable to me.
Yeah.
But I just felt this one went on a little too long.
Yeah, that's the thing with this album I've noticed is some of the songs can be really long and go on a while, which isn't necessarily the case with a lot of their other songs. For a really good all-around sort of feeling for the Smiths, they have a couple of greatest hits albums out, and those are definitely a go-to if you want to listen to the Smiths, because it has a lot of their singles and the shorter songs that are really catchy.
Yep.
But I like this. This is the first album that got me into the Smiths, so that's why I chose it, because I pretty much wore out that cassette tape. Mm-hmm. I've played it so many damn times. So the second track is called Frankly Mr. Shankly, and it's extremely catchy, I think, because it's like, dun, starts right out, like, dun, dun, frankly Mr. Shankly, I'm a sickening wreck.
This was my favorite song off the album. It reminded me of like an Irish shanty or like Dexy's Midnight Runner. Just that type of deal. You could imagine it being sung in a pub somewhere and everybody raising their glass of Guinness. Oh yeah, singing it.
Yeah, you can totally picture like people swinging their glasses around and singing along to it. Yeah, and there's this line from it that's all like, it's like fame, fatal fame. It can play hideous tricks on the brain. It's a typical theme with Morrissey. He talks a lot about like the dangers of fame and how terrible it can be, and he doesn't like the monarchy, and he doesn't
what is he like, man?
He didn't like Margaret Thatcher. He likes to complain. That's what he likes to do, but I love him for it.
Yeah.
He likes animals, and he likes his mom. But yeah, he's not a big fan of fame and stuff like that. But I really love this song. This song is so catchy.
Yeah.
It's so catchy.
And he's right to be, concerned about fame, because we've seen many instances where people let that fame go to their head. Charlie Sheen, Robert Downey Jr. in the past. Thankfully he.
Well, that
he's
was
got
drugs.
But that was due
drugs,
to the fame.
Yeah, drugs come with fame.
And then you have someone like I mentioned earlier, Johnny Rotten. He's in a spot now thanks to the money he's made with the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited. That he has a narrow view of the world now because of that fame, because he has more resources available than other people. So
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I love this song. It's one of my favorite songs ever by the Smiths. Track 3 is called I Know It's Over. This one, it's really, really sad.
It was way too somber for my taste.
It's extremely somber.
It did in a way kind of remind me of some of like Pink Floyd's darkest work, and when they get dark, it's just too dark for me. Yeah,
it's pretty dark because it's basically he's like the lyrics are about being buried in a grave. So like, oh mother, the soil's falling over my head. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it talks about dying and being buried, and also talks about the death of relationships. It's like, I know it's over, still I cling. I don't know where else I can go.
I've never done that before.
Yeah. So you should have identified with the song, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so track 4 is called Never Had No One Ever. That's, basically, I've never had no one ever. Basically feeling a lot of the lyrics have to do with feeling like nobody understands you. And you've never had anybody. You're never going to have anybody who understands you.
Yeah, I mean, the
tortured artist.
The song just didn't click with me, but this is... I'm not a fan of this type of British music. British music from the 80s with the similar type of vocals. Again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just my taste.
Yeah.
Just because it does come off as pretentious.
It does come off a little bit pretentious, but at the same time, it's all about the mood you're in when you're listening to it. Because I know when I've been in the mood, it hits that right note in your head. Sometimes you're not feeling great, you're sad, whatever. You hear the music and it just bing, just hits that little tuning fork in your brain.
Yeah, and you never know what music will do that. I mean, I never thought I would ever relate to a country song, and after a couple breakups, hey, what do we know? I'm liking some country artist, but it's again, this one did not click for me. So
all right, track 5 is called Cemetery Gates. And this is one of my favorite songs by the Smiths because it's very evocative. If you listen to the lyrics, you can picture Morrissey and some friends meeting in the cemetery to walk around and recite poetry and
be pretentious and drink tea with their pinky. No, I'm kidding.
No, they're probably not drinking tea. They're probably drinking stolen beers from somewhere. But
well, the note I had for Cemetery Gates, it breaks out into a Hootie and the Blowfish song. And I'm not talking the lyrics, I'm not talking the vocals, I'm talking the music. If you just listen to the music, it really does have a Hootie and the Blowfish type of vibe. And this is the first track that made me, appreciate just
how influential there is.
How influential.
Yeah, because this was pre Hootie and the Blowfish. Don't ever think that the Smiths were inspired by Hootie and the Blowfish.
I know. If you get my point, if you listen to this album and listen to this song and just the music, not the vocals, it does have a Hootie and the Blowfish type of vibe. Which is not bad.
It's definitely got that upbeat kind of jangly guitar.
Yeah.
But I love this song, and I have an image in my head of a tattoo that I want to get based on this song. Seriously, I want to do it at some point, but I have the image in my head. It's just a matter of finding a tattoo artist who can execute it.
Well, there are a couple places in town. I mean,
yeah, and plus it's about being responsible with my money. It's I don't want to spend a bunch of money on a tattoo when I should probably be spending it on other things like food
Well,
and shelter.
But, just find out how much it would cost, and then, like, every paycheck, dole a little away until you reach that amount.
Yeah, I know how savings.
Listen to me sound like I know what I do with money.
Yeah, it's like I know how a savings account works, Tim. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, people that know me and how I handle money are probably laughing their asses off right now.
Why do you think I'm giggling? Yes, I know how a savings account works, but yeah, it's I have there's another Smiths song where I have a tattoo idea that's based on that too. The name of that song is called Death at My Elbow. And I want to get a cat that looks like a Grim Reaper tattooed above my elbow.
Okay.
Yep. I will do that eventually.
The more you know.
The more you know. All right, track 6, Big Mouth Strikes Again. This is a good one. I like this song too.
Yeah. Again, the music did remind me, it had that, I could tell that a lot of 90s bands had that influence from the song. Morrissey, for me, is the weak link. It would be interesting, to me, it would be interesting to hear what the other musicians in the band would sound like if they had a different singer with different lyrics, because it would better suit my musical taste. That's the only reason I'm bringing that up.
Yeah.
Just because there's a weird dichotomy with how morose and he can get with the up-tempo music that they play. It's just kind of a weird mix at times.
Yeah. Yeah, and the lyrics in this song are so good, though. I mean, it talks about, like, Joan of Arc and her Walkman. I mean, it's just funny if you think about it. Like,
yeah, but maybe if he had more range, then I would like it.
He admittedly does not have a huge vocal range, but he's very captivating to watch. Because I've seen him play live many times, and his voice, I like the way it sounds. I feel like it has a really good tone, but he has this stage presence and he's very, very charismatic. It's just, you have to have a taste for the way his voice sounds.
You do, and yeah, me personally, I'm just not a fan of him as a singer.
Yeah, this song is one of my favorites for the lyrics, just because, so like sweetness, I was only joking, basically talking about how like your words can get misconstrued, or you're being sarcastic, and then someone doesn't realize you're being sarcastic.
Again, something that's never happened to me.
And so then the lyrics are like, now I know how Joan of Arc felt, basically taking his feeling bad, but then taking it to the next level of like martyrdom, basically. Yeah, it's very sarcastic in a way. The way that he does it, he's like, okay, I said the wrong thing. Okay, well now I know how Joan of Arc felt.
Still, that...
And the flames rose to her Roman nose, and her Walkman's starting to melt. So it's basically like talking about being persecuted for your beliefs in some ways, but he's taking it way over the top. Because that's what they did.
And I got no problem with that. I mean, because, to me, that can lead to humor. The best humor is when you over-exaggerate.
Yeah, exactly.
But just didn't hit with me.
Yeah, I just love that song. Okay, track 7 is called The Boy with the Thorn in His Side. And this one is a little hit or miss, but I like it. I really like it a lot. I like everything about it. I like the lyrics. I like the song. I like the music.
I definitely dug the music. Again, common theme, and I'm boring my sister, but I'm saying the same thing over and over again here. Just, I don't know. It just his vocal range just made it was just. It sounded like a drone. It just when he would sing, I would just tune out and not really pay attention to the lyrics, just because I was not a fan of how he sang. And if there are other Morrissey fans that are listening, great, be a fan of Morrissey. I'm not saying, my opinion should have any measure. It should not change your opinion if you like Morrissey, but it just, yeah.
Okay, track 8, Vicar in a Tutu.
Sounded like a Merle Haggard song. They went country.
Really?
They went country.
Oh,
As far as the music, I'm not talking about the lyrics or anything like that.
yeah, I mean, the lyrics are basically talking about the ridiculousness of religion. Morrissey's not a fan of organized religion.
Well, I'm with him there.
Yeah. See, you guys have something in common.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the lyrics are basically talking about how, in some ways, they're talking about how ridiculous religion is, but at the same time, about how, what's the word I'm looking for? Behind closed doors.
It's insidious.
No, not insidiousness. Oh, God. Brain is not working. Yeah, but behind closed doors, they're like prim and proper on the outside, but then behind closed doors, the vicar's wearing a tutu.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like for years with the Catholic Church, with the priest, doing one thing on stage, but then backstage,
Exactly.
little boys and all that stuff. I have family members that are Catholic. It's not a knock against people that go to Catholic churches. My issue is, with the people that are actually running the Catholic Church.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the song is about how people are not representing what they truly are.
Yeah.
It's like he's definitely more of like, if you're going to be a freak, let your freak flag fly. That's how what's more of Morrissey's thing is, like, just be yourself. And
under certain circumstances, when it comes to the example I gave, I don't want anybody to get their freak on with little boys.
No, that's different. It's
we're talking if somebody goes it becomes a monk because they want to fight off their homosexuality.
Yeah.
Why? Be gay, be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you were born. Be you. Don't try and stifle it down for some magical creature in the sky.
Exactly. Track 9, There Is a Light That Never Goes Out. I'm not really sure what they're doing with this song.
It was just meh for me.
This song is one of the not so great tracks. I think it just kind of repeats the same lyric over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of,
Yeah. And my sister's probably sleeping right now out of boredom. Hi.
Just stop, Tim. Okay, and the last track is Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others. This one, I don't really get this song either.
It had a weird
I have
sound
just
mix.
discovered.
It had a weird
sound. Yeah, it does that. It's like that. I don't know why they did it that way. Where they kind of like went, and whoop. I don't know why they do that at the beginning of the song, but it's like that on every recording of it.
Yeah. This is another instance to where the music itself was great, and I know vocals are part of the music, but if you take the vocals out and just had the music, I would love this album.
Yeah. I don't understand the lyrics on this song. It's just kind of over and over. Some girls are bigger than others. I've just discovered. Some girls are bigger than others. I just don't understand it. The song doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, does he like big girls? Does he? What does bigger than others mean? I didn't even understand what that meant.
Yeah, does it mean size? Does it mean like better?
Personality.
Morrissey, what do you mean?
Yeah, because we know he's listening.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that there are many a gothic person who have tried to decipher these lyrics through the years. I don't think any of us have succeeded.
Thanks to weed or heroin, I don't know.
Weed, heroin, cocaine, any number of mind-altering substances.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the end of the album. Other albums by the Smiths that I would recommend, Strange Ways, Here We Come, definitely that one. That one is really good. Other songs that I like by the Smiths, well, there's As for another song that's about girls that doesn't make any sense to me, is Girlfriend in a Coma. Have you ever heard that song?
No.
Basically, the lyrics are, girlfriend in a coma, I know. It's serious. And it just, I don't understand that song much at all.
Well, I would be in a coma if I had to hear him sing a lot.
Boyfriend in a coma, I know,
it's like,
it's serious. Yeah, but no, the album Strange Ways, Here We Come, it starts off with, gosh, what's the name of that song? Anyway, it starts off with the song that has, like, marimba in it. It's really good. It's a really good song. I'll have to play it for you. But I cannot remember the name of it because I am so brain dead today. It's like I'm on my second day off from work, and
yeah,
I'm just
we went out to dinner and had a lot of starch, and we both just woke up from a nap.
Yeah, so it's like,
yeah,
a lot of that. But you know what? The Smiths is a great thing to listen to when you're feeling that way.
If that is your musical taste.
I love the Smiths.
Yeah.
I will always love the Smiths, and I'm glad that you liked the music. I thought that you would like the music better than if I just made you listen to Morrissey, because I think that the Smiths and Morrissey, while they have the same vocals, it's definitely different music styles. Yeah. And actually, on the more recent albums that Morrissey has put out, he's begun experimenting with some sort of musical styles from other countries. One of the most recent albums, Low in High School, he did a lot of stuff that had a very Spanish and then Middle Eastern flair.
He's going the David Byrne route?
Sure.
Okay.
It's good stuff, though.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. So.
All right. Well, I'm sure you're anticipating what my next album choice will be for next week.
Am I gonna hate it? Am I gonna like it?
We'll find out.
Nobody knows.
Well, last week you had made the comment of, or what, maybe the episode beforehand, of not, the fact that you commented that you hadn't chosen an album yet with any women.
Yeah, because kind of what we had come up with the idea for this would be albums that have kind of inspired us and have developed our taste in music, sort of thing.
Yeah. And
all of those albums, it seems like, are like all very male dominated, which is strange considering how I've been brought up to be a feminist basically.
Yeah. But
yet my musical taste has been heavily influenced by men, so it's weird.
Well, for me, in my day job, I'm able to, play whatever music I want. So I, have my own Spotify playlist that, has at this point, over 500 songs. And I'm, adding new stuff on all the time. And one of the features when you do have a playlist together and hit the add songs button is that they will come like 3 different menus and different songs on there. And I saw one from a band. I saw their album cover, and the album cover itself grabbed my attention because it was 4 trashy looking women, and
trashy looking.
I mean that in the best possible way. I love me some trashy women.
So what does that say about me?
Trashy. I mean, in a good way. I like.
Great.
But I saw the album. I saw the song in question, listened to it, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was from a band. They're not together anymore. This is their last album in 2012. A band called Tijuana Sweetheart, and the album is called Under the Gun.
Trashy?
Again,
you think I'm trashy?
In a good way. I like trash. To me, a trashy woman is one who knows what she wants, who, is not going to play games with you and whatnot, and, is just her own individual person. I want to be trashy someday, Trashy is a good thing for me.
Okay.
It's like it's kind of like it's like I kind of like it's like with the movies I watch. The movies I watch are trashy movies. They're great movies, but you get my point.
I'm just gonna.
Okay, I mean it in the best possible way.
Yeah.
But Tijuana Sweetheart, Under the Gun will be the next album we listen to.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'll like it.
All right, it's kind of a punk, like Joan Jett, Ramones type of feel. Just up-tempo punk type songs. So
cool.
Yeah.
I like Joan Jett and I like the Ramones, so that's good.
We'll see if you like this trashy choice.
You trashy man.
Yeah. All right, with that, another episode is in the books.
Our trashy episode.
Yeah. Yeah, just full of trash.
Yeah, we're a little... Yeah, we're all hopped up on starch and nap time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Something like that, but...
We'll see you next time. How about that?
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy on iTunes, the Google Play Music Store, as well as Spotify. Remember to support Friends Talking Nerdy on Patreon. Goodbye, darling.